Welcome to the Neverworld Podcast, where together we explore the strange and unusual. Every journey starts with the first step into the unknown.
Welcome to Neverworld Podcast. Today's episode, we discuss the Skunk Ape. But before we get to that, I just want to take a moment to thank you for joining our show, and I want to let you know what to expect and what's coming up on the upcoming episodes. David and I have a fascination with aliens, paranormal, supernatural, ghost, conspiracies, and just a natural curiosity for it. So we enjoy talking about it and wanted to share with others who enjoy this as well some of the things we found, some of the questions that come up, and like to share things that you might not be aware of, and just kind of make a community where we could do that. And with that being said, let's talk about the Skunk Ape, Dave.
Well, before we do that, let's remember to tell folks to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, copy and paste and share this episode wherever you can possibly do it on social media, wherever you are on social media.
Mm-hmm.
Just listen and enjoy. Feedback is always welcome, folks. With starting out with the Skunk Ape in this episode, I went through a couple of books. I've read a lot of stuff online, but one book that I got was called The Florida Skunk Ape, A Complete History. And it's very interesting because folks are always wondering when, like, the Bigfoots and the skunk apes all got together. And I've highlighted a few sections that I'd like to read real quick. In this book, it says, since the turn of the 20th century, most occurring in the Pacific Northwest, sightings that is, Northwest along the Great Lakes, the southeastern seaboard, and Appalachia. And since the 1940s, Florida has quickly become a hotbed of Sasquatch/skunk ape sightings. The sightings began as soon as the Seminoles and the Miccosukee first settled in the South Florida. They called the skunk ape Capcap. I'm sorry, I'm going to ruin this. Capcaki, which translates to tall man. According to the locals, there are a lot of Capcaki living in the heavy woods, and according to Sheely, which was the person that initially spotted one of the skunk apes in Florida, they live in the trees also. They call the tall man the protector of the woods, which we will get into in our interview that is following up this opening section. And going back to the St. Alice theory, the tall men didn't like white folks poking around their home turf and damaging the delicate ecosystem. They seem to have an ability to disappear and appear at will, which is why when folks will follow tracks to a certain point, they just stop.
Right.
And everybody wonders how that happens.
Well, on that point, that's one of the things that you're going to uncover, listeners, as you dig in and take a look around the Sasquatch. And basically anything is pretty much every story ends with they lost sight. It just disappeared without a trace, just vanished. And there's a lot of theories beyond that, and we'll discuss either later in this episode or further down, because it all kind of ties together. But it's just another commonality between all of this is they just up and disappear,
gone. Just, it's amazing because they have such a potent smell. And that's in another book. Again, I've read quite a bit. This book is called The Bigfoot Book, and it's the Encyclopedia of Sasquatch, Yeti, and Cryptid Primates, written by Nick Redfern. You may know of Nick Redfern from Ancient Aliens. He's always on there discussing aliens and ancient civilizations and whatnot. But in one section, he talks about the Bigfoot might not be the only cryptid ape that calls the United States its home. In Florida, particularly in the swampy wooded areas, there lives a beast known as the skunk ape. It also lives throughout Arkansas and North Carolina, but the wilds of Florida are where the beast really dominates. Now, that would be southern Florida, up the coast of Mexico, Gulf of Mexico, all the way up into Pensacola, going into Texas, going into Arkansas. That's a big area for these things to be spotted.
Mm-hmm.
I think they've gone up into Alabama. There's like some swamps in Alabama also. Usually by the time you start going to that far north, they start getting bigger,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone just assumes that they're a regular Bigfoot. But the stench from these things is supposed to be horrendous. And one of the funny things is back to the original Florida Skunk Ape book, we can't be sure who came up with the term skunk ape, but it started popping up around the 1960s. And that's all to do with the smell of these
Mm-hmm.
things. That's they literally will smell. I don't know if anybody's ever had a dog get hit by a skunk, but that's what the smell is supposed to be like. It's just
It's a
absolutely
very, very strong
terrible.
smell. Yeah. Every encounter that I've read about, that's one of the first signs
Mhm.
that they have described is just this horrible stench
Right,
of rot
right.
or skunk like, and just yeah, it's going to smell in a swamp anyway, but not like this.
Yeah, and a lot of people try and say that the reason people see a skunk ape is because of all the crazy people nowadays are seeing Bigfoots everywhere. Where Nick Redfern points out that that can't be the problem because the Bigfoot that exists today, in fact, the reports of a hairy man upright again go all the way back to the Native Americans
Mm-hmm.
in this area, especially in this area of Florida. I mean, they saw them. They had a name for these spirits or for
Yeah.
these creatures. When the white guys got here, or the Spanish, but more likely the Spanish got here before anybody else, they started seeing them.
Mm-hmm.
So there's something here. Like we had talked about before about vampires and ghosts and giants and every civilization has a story of
Mm-hmm.
such creatures as a Bigfoot. They're known as Sasquatch.
Yeah, depending on what part of the world,
Right.
they come in different names,
Hmm.
but it all, and as one of the things that we'll be exploring on this show is comparisons such as this, especially
Right.
when you get into myths and religions and the stories that have been passed down and
Hmm.
all over the world. When you see a common story everywhere, to me, is like if there's smoke, there's a fire. There's
Exactly.
just too much
Exactly.
to be coincidence in a lot of this for so many to have the same story.
Hmm.
But with that being said, I mean, we're talking about the skunk ape. It has a smell, but what also differentiates that from a Bigfoot, like, the big popular Sasquatch?
Well, the size, yeah, the size of them, like
Right.
the Bigfoots are anywhere from 8 foot and higher, and
Hmm.
they're literally massive creatures. The skunk apes seem to be much smaller, 6, 7 foot at the most. They're a reddish tan, sometimes a black, sometimes a gray, but it seems like the most, um, for lack of a better term, popular fur color or hair color would be like a reddish brown or a dirty brown
Yeah.
hair color. And again, they have that stench that is
Mm.
just supposed to be unbearable. I've never personally seen a skunk ape. I've never personally seen a Sasquatch. I've never
I
personally
have not
seen
either.
the Jersey Devil. You know what? I may have seen a Jersey Devil. That's another story.
Well, I
I
can't wait
will
till
bring
we
that story
cover
back up.
the Pine Barrens there.
No, no, I was
No?
in North Jersey when this happened. But
Oh.
this is going to be a good story when we get to that because it is another myth that when it hits and you realize how close you may have just been to something that shouldn't exist,
Hmm.
you sit there for 10 minutes and think, "Oh crap, did I just see what I think I just saw?"
Yeah.
It's like ghosts, it's like goblins, it's like gnomes, it's like fairies. Did I really just see what I think I saw, or am I my eyes playing tricks on me?
Right.
But with the Sasquatch or the skunk apes, I have not seen anything. But there have been people that have, and there is a woman back in the 70s. named Jan Brock. She was a local real estate agent in South Florida. She was driving through Big Cypress near Okeechobee, and her own sighting was on the morning of July 21st, 1997. I thought it was in the 70s, but it's 97. She later told the reporters that she believes in the skunk ape's existence, and her kids had told her that they had seen these things wandering out in the fields just off their property. And she said up until she had seen one, she had never had any kind of interaction. They don't bother or anything.
Right.
They don't dig through the garbage. They don't even go generally near anybody. When they see a human, they leave.
Right.
Because, well, we're humans. Let's face it. Who wants to be around us?
We'll shoot it.
Yeah, exactly.
At least
But
here in the U.S.
These are all sightings that have happened since the Native Americans were here. So to me, there is something there. There's something otherworldly about these things.
Mm-hmm.
I do have a theory of why or how they move about. I think skunk apes and Sasquatch and whatnot are part of the same species, maybe different. What do they call them? Flora? No, that's not right. They may be like a subset of each other.
Right.
I think they walk through dimensions. I think that it's very possible that they are walking and they don't even realize they've left their own realm. And they're just kind of walking, and they walk a little bit further, and all of a sudden their hole opens up. They may open it up naturally, or they may just be walking old paths. And they're there for 1 minute and they're gone the next.
Well, that's an interesting thought, and that's one you and I have discussed on multiple occasions, and it also helps explain why a lot of times in any type of sighting, be it cryptid or a supernatural paranormal event, how things disappear is, well, what it is the theory of interdimensional beings, and are we seeing something from a different dimension that is crossed over, or are we seeing something from a different time, or both? And there's so much when you get into interdimensionality. It gets pretty deep, and I always think it's worth exploring. And it's like, well, that's one answer. How we prove it, that may be that's a whole nother thing.
Can you prove something like that?
That's just it.
I mean, unless you step into it.
And then nobody's going to believe you.
Yeah, and who's going to believe, if you can even get back to tell anybody?
Well, there's that. There's that.
So, it's always very, very intriguing to me when somebody is so positive that something doesn't exist, and they want to tell you that you're dumb for believing in it, or they just don't understand that how could you possibly believe in that? Well, why do you possibly not? You can say that we build up our cities and things around these areas, and by now we would see them. Maybe we just built over one of their freaking portals, and then we just shut one hole down. I don't know. This is just a theory. This is just something I'm throwing out there. I don't know why they stop or where they go.
Look, I'm no expert, but you and I have both worked in the retail sector for a long time. So we've dealt with people for a very long time in all types. And I am thoroughly convinced that people just don't want to see, and they will not see what's right in front of their face because it goes against a belief. And those beliefs, those preconceptions are so strong that there's no way, no, they will spend all the energy convincing themselves that they hallucinated, instead of, what if I really did see that? What if that was real? So it's, it's hard. Would I like to see one? Yeah, I'd like to see one. There's video out there, and I am very skeptical. But again, as I've said, and you brought up, these stories go way back as all recorded history and these sightings. So these people are seeing something. They've seen something throughout the years. Are there hoaxes? Sure. Some people do it for the kicks, the laughs, the notoriety to get famous. Today it'd be internet famous, but there's still too many people that, knowing that they will be mocked and ridiculed, have come forward and said, "Yeah, I saw a skunk ape." And you know what?
Here's the video. Here's the picture. Here's the footprint. Here's this is what I saw. I do have from the book again, the Florida Skunk Ape, A Complete History. In the 20s, writer J.W. Burns spent years compiling the stories of the St. Elias people and printing them in Canadian newspapers. The native people of the areas knew Sasquatches to be real beings and even claimed that they spoke Liliut, which I think is the native language, an almost entirely dead language at that point, and even now spoken by less than 200 individuals. The St. Elias took great offense when they were told Sasquatch weren't real. They explained that the Sasquatch was not a fan of white folks, once again, and would hide from them.
Shocking.
Which means Europeans just kind of showed up and, whether some of them meant to or not, they could have just been disease-ridden, and that's why they didn't like them.
Yeah.
Who knows? But they sure didn't like to be around us a lot, I mean, my people are Slavic, so maybe they wouldn't have had anything against us. I don't know. I don't know, Czechoslovakia, which doesn't exist anymore. Now it's Czech and Slavic. Right. If they have any kind I should have looked that up, whether they have any kind of Bigfoot type reference.
There is
mountains, lots of mountains around there.
No, that brings me to something, even though it's not Skunk Ape Sasquatch related, is there is as you well know, just a whole wealth of lore from that area. So I can't wait till we start digging into that. And that's really cool.
Krampus comes from that area, the whole European area like that. Yeah, it is a strange mythos in that area of the world. It's fun to read about. It's fun to look into, try and find out where and why things come from. As far as the Bigfoots and the Sasquatches, I'm not familiar with any old legends, and I know as a kid I read a lot of them, but I don't know of anything.
That's the thing about legends, and as I said, where there's smoke, there's a fire. These stories have been passed down. Now, yes, you get 10 people and whisper in each one's ear. By the time it gets to the end, it's going to be a different story. I get that, but there's always seems to be a little kernel of truth somewhere in there. So how much of it's there or not, but something happened for these stories. If not, our ancestors were incredibly imaginative and creative and just
a lot more than we would give them credit for, right?
Yeah. Yes, a lot more.
Yeah, there's something there. I don't know what it is. I don't know why. It talks about in one of the books also, and I know I keep going back to the books, but some of this stuff is so dense in its history that for somebody to be able to break it down just a little bit makes it easier for me to talk about, for me to wrap my head around. Ocala National Forest, which is where a lot of these skunk ape sightings happen, is like on the outskirts by the highways and stuff like that, was the site of a startling encounter with a skunk ape. It's more than 600 square miles in size. It's heavily densely forested and is filled with springs and swamps, and a large aggressive ape that is no shortage of potential food supplies. It's home to red foxes, raccoons, boar, deer, squirrels, possums, and gophers. So in that area alone, when people say, oh no, there's nothing there, I would bet any human being that's not a swamp person who lives in the swamps naturally to get their ass in there and make it to the other side of that swamp without getting eaten by a crocodile. But, these things live in these swamps naturally.
Yeah.
Now, who knows what they can communicate with? Who knows what they eat? Might just be branches. Shit, these things might live on freaking trunks of trees. I don't know. I don't know what their lunch is like.
We don't know. And until somebody makes contact or they allow contact, it's it's one of those things. I think there's something out there. Yeah.
Too many people won't say, unless I see a dead body, I'm not going to believe it. Well, why does it have to be dead? Why can't you just take a camera and go take a nice picture, a nice video? If you're such a hunter, if you're such a manly man, go out there and take a picture of it.
Yeah.
Then run your ass off in the opposite direction before it catches you.
Yeah, I want to speak on pictures for a second. And this is something I stumbled across, because one of the biggest arguments about capturing UFOs, ghosts, Sasquatch, skunk apes is it's, we have technology to capture great photos. We can take pictures of the stars. Why can't we get a good, solid, steady picture of these creatures? Well,
Yeah, it's a
What?
good question.
I have an answer. I
Really?
can't quite explain it. Yeah, I do.
No, go ahead.
A while back, where I work, I saw somebody that a coworker had an issue with, and I wanted to send them a picture real quick to say, "Hey,
Right.
look at your buddies here," that kind of
Right.
thing. So I grabbed out my phone real quick. I'm trying to take a picture without being seen. I'm kind of in a hurry. I'm kind of
Right. Right.
frantic. I have an iPhone 13, takes beautiful pictures. It is the most blurry piece of crap photo I've
Mhm.
seen. And it's like, look at that shit.
Right.
It doesn't take much. So yes,
Shaky hand.
you think by now you'd be able to get a good clear picture. You would think, but
Yeah.
it just a lot of factors play,
Yeah,
especially if
it's
you're in a hurry
really
with a
weird.
camera. It's not
Yeah.
like the thing's going to pose for you, you know.
Well, speaking of UFOs and why people can't get decent photos of UFOs, we had the TikTok video from the Navy.
Mm-hmm.
They have some of
Yeah.
the most high-powered resolution cameras on their jet fighters. So, for training purposes or shooting, why did you shoot this down? Oh, okay, we see that. Have you seen the TikTok videos?
Yeah.
Those ships, they have them. They are right on camera. They're blurry.
Yeah. Folks,
So
if you want
could
to
it be a defense shield?
if you want to go look at that, type in Navy, and I think they call it the Tic Tac and the
Tic
gimbal
Tac, that's it.
and the
Tic Tac.
gimbal video.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's really cool. This is official footage, and
Right.
I mean, I defy you to say that's. I don't know. Just take a look at it.
But to go along that reasoning, like
Mhm.
there's a field around it that it can't penetrate that is making it blurry. Maybe just the human vision, you and I would walk 10 feet to a Sasquatch, see it and go, that's, he's basically posing for me. Pull out the camera, steady cam, the whole 9 yards, you put it on a tripod. He's standing there going, hey, look at me, I'm a Sasquatch. You take a picture and it's blurry. It might be because they're not from this dimension.
Could be.
It might be that it's just a natural defense of some sort.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why, radar can't find them. Maybe that's why heat sensors can't find. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw a couple of questions out there for folks that are out there. Why do you think, other than they don't exist, this is, which is very possible. Maybe everybody is having a mass hallucination, which I don't believe in. But
That's another episode.
But that's another episode. But why would you think, in your own thoughts and your own words, why do you think you can't capture one of these on camera? Why do you think, or why would you believe they haven't been able to find one? And I don't want to say capture it because I don't want to capture one. I don't ever want them to be captured and put in a zoo. I don't know. Because I think they're too intelligent for that. But why would you think? And again, Scott, this is a question for you too. Why do you think? Is it along the lines of what we were just talking about?
It's one of the things I don't know.
Mhm.
I'd like to be able to try and test it. Of course, we'd have to have a willing participant, and that's probably not going to happen.
Nope.
So my thoughts are it's more the reason we don't have a good photo is the excitement of trying to take the photo. That's my
Right.
first reaction, just because
Makes
it's
sense.
happened to me. And could it be a defense built in, biochemical, electromagnetic, something that causes that? Yeah, I guess it could.
Yeah.
But this is one thing that it's left to pure speculation, and
Right.
we could just roll with this, but without proof, I don't know. I just know we don't have any really solid photos that say, yeah, I can see what that is. And I'm going to tell you something. If we had a solid photo that looked great, nobody would believe it, because our backgrounds, you're not on a spaceship and I'm not sitting in Fox Mulder's office.
I'm not.
So yeah.
So who the hell's couch is that then?
I don't know whose couch that is.
No, well, Dave Lister's going to be real mad at me for sitting in the middle of his office shooting a video.
Right. So that's just it. Even if we had a good picture or we had a good video, the Navy released actual footage of UFOs and people still dispute it.
And they admitted it. They finally admitted it, and people are still saying no, they're lying.
Yeah. Well, my biggest thing is they admitted that, so that means there's much more they're hiding.
Oh, yeah.
Because they had found that was okay to show. What have they held back? But anyway, that's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah. There's lots of podcasts, and we just natural conversations between you and I when we have them, just come up with 20 shows that we just can't do. I mean, there's just no way that two guys can do this on their own and do all the shows that we want to do. But we are going to find some interesting stuff we're not going to solve any mysteries. I'll tell you that right now, folks. I'm never going to be able to come out and go, mystery solved. Look, right here. Here it is. I will ask a lot of questions, though. And I want to induce you. I want to ask you folks out there to get involved. Come back and just say, yeah, I see what you're talking about. I see why ghosts exist, or why you think ghosts exist, why they don't exist, why a Bigfoot does or Skunk Ape doesn't. It's fun to talk about, and it is. It helps you like open up your mind to everything else in the world. Mythology and legends, those are the things that I just love to read about because it makes me think, where do they come from?
Oh yeah.
That's me. It
opens up a lot. I recommend everybody just be curious, be checking your surroundings. Do you have anything else to discuss about the Skunk Ape before we get to our interview?
There is so much. Like, what do they have names? Well, like honestly, like if they're in a group, let's say there's a group of 12 of them. I mean, do they just go oak oak and everybody turns around, or does it go oak oak and only one of them turns around and goes, yeah, what do you want?
I have a theory.
I don't know.
I have a theory, and I will. We will share that with you. We have next is an interview with Renee Luke Jordan and Shannon Williams. Two friends of mine who created a short film called The Skunk Ape, and it is a comedy, but it is very interesting and touches on a lot of the things that we have discussed, including how names are given. Be on the lookout for yours truly and Dave in the video. And if you go to neverworldpodcast.com, I will have the link to the video. The video is actually up there, so you can watch the Skunk Ape, and here's our interview. Hey, welcome back to Neverworld Podcast. We have got a treat for you. Joining us today is Renee Luke Jordan and Shannon Williams, who have made their very own Skunk Ape movie. And thanks, guys. I really appreciate you coming on. And just to let the audience know, this movie can be seen on our website and on Shannon and Renee's YouTube channels. You do have it on a YouTube channel, Shannon. What is how would somebody find it?
We do. I believe it's listed as the Skunk Ape movie 2022 is the easiest way to find it. The Skunk Ape movie 2022. But also we have a Facebook page, the Skunk Ape, and we're easy to follow there. So, and we post the movie and links about everybody that was in the movie. So both of these guys have their own page, I think.
I need to go take a look at that. Oh my God.
That we sent out. Yeah. Donnie Jones and Skeeter. So.
Oh shit. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Very cool. So, and that's, how long ago did we do that movie? I can't even remember. It seems like it's been a while.
It was August of 2020. August, September, sometime in there.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's been right at 2 years. Yeah.
Right in the middle of COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just when they were allowing people back on set with like all the precautions.
We did all
like, okay, let's go.
Yep.
Yeah.
We did all the precautions.
Except for me, I ran around and kissed everybody and breathed on them and then ran out of the room quick.
Me too, man.
The case is still open, so we don't talk about it. Oh, you guys were incredible.
Well, thank you.
Thanks.
And we had no incidents. So I don't think we had anybody that caught anything. We were really safe, and everybody was. Yeah, we worked hard too. Like we lowered your immune system with all them hours, but
right.
Right. So there was quite a lot of people involved in this. How many people? What was the total cast number? Do you remember?
16.
Yep.
16.
Wow.
So
16. We that was cast and crew. I'm sorry. We had 7 creatures.
Yeah.
And we had Donnie Jones and Skeeter. And that was it. The 7 creatures, Donnie Jones and Skeeter. And then at the very end, we won't tell them, but
yeah.
Same characters.
Spoiler free. Everybody should take a look at it. So you had people come in from Nick drove down from Ohio or someplace, didn't he? Or
yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah. So a lot of people came together for this. Yes.
House. That was his house that we.
Oh, okay. Well, that's perfect. Get the landlord in to
That's how you do
play
it
a creature.
in the biz.
Yeah.
Come be a part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You've entered it in multiple film festivals. Have you been seeing success from it, or?
We've been
still doing it.
Yeah, while we're talking, I'm going to pull that up because we're still waiting for Transylvania Film Festival, which got pushed back from May, and it like gets pushed back and pushed back.
Man.
And it's supposed to be October, but we have been at Transylvania for a year.
Yeah.
You know, but mostly Florida film festivals was the goal.
Right. Which makes sense.
And it you know, things like we didn't get accepted to a few, which I thought we would. I really hoped we would, but man, we got some really good feedback from it. But I think 16, but some are still, I keep saying that number, but 16 film festivals, give or take. And
Nice.
we're still waiting for 3. One should announce next week, and then the next 2 in October, I think. Later in October.
Yeah.
So Renee, was this, I'm trying to remember right, this was your first directing a short film style?
Yes. First short film directing, yes.
Yes.
Usually I have way more time to take care of things and to do things, and this was a very, very fun challenge. But I ended up
I would imagine
an incredible group of, like, all my actors were top notch, you two included.
Oh, well, thank you.
Everybody just had, it was such a good energy it was such a great environment for me to learn.
Yeah.
And very thankful for all of you for that, as well as for, of course, Kevin, which I will talk about till the end of time, as the best teacher and the kindest. And he's just fun to work with too. An absolute genius. Right. Very kind to me, as I very vehemently told him, this will be my first time directing film things.
Mm-hmm.
And he taught me quite a bit, and I still learn. And I'm still always trying to pass that knowledge along too. But yeah. First time directing film, not the last. Thank you, Lord, for those opportunities, because it's really fun and different.
Right.
Yeah.
That was awesome. What a great little short to start with all of you.
And it was big. I mean, you had a lot of moving parts, just a lot of pieces to put together. I've done some very short things, nothing on the scale that you had done. And it just, it's very stressful, but it's fun to get it all together. I can't praise Kevin Almodovar enough, because when I've worked with him, he's always been somebody who could teach, and you learn so much from it.
Yeah. You walk on a Kevin set and you can feel the professionalism as soon as you walk on a set. It's a great feeling, man. And he is he upped our game tenfold.
Yeah, definitely. So I have to ask, why the Skunk Ape?
Well,
how did this story come about?
I was sitting around one day trying to be clever, and Florida Man was big in the news and such, and
as always,
as we always are.
And I don't know it. The whole time I was in the military, people always asked like where I was from, and are you from Texas, because of my accent? And I always said Greenwood, Florida. I didn't say Tallahassee or Pensacola. I said Greenwood, Florida. Then they would have to ask. And with the way everything's moving, with the best thing you can do is poke fun at yourself first. And I thought I really would like to do something that highlights Northwest Florida, a pure Northwest Florida project, and shows a little bit of our humor and stuff like that. So that's kind of what we, went with, was just highlighting Northwest Florida. And then I thought of, the whole Bigfoot thing. And I thought, well, what if, the Skunk Ape was 5'9", going bald, and had an attitude? I said, that's very North Florida. And so that's what I went with, man, 5'9". And that was supposed to be the whole joke, that all these creatures are like 7 and 8 feet tall. And I'm like 5'9" and just holding my
Florida's
own,
version.
Yeah.
What would that guy look like? He'd have a mullet. He would have lots of anything.
And that's
in our research into the skunk ape, that's one thing we missed. He didn't have a mullet, but they do talk about the size of the swamp ape or skunk ape from being in the swamplands, much smaller. But it would have been funny if they would see him like your representation of the skunk ape, which is absolutely hilarious. Bathrobe, I picture the dude with a beer,
Yes.
Exactly.
If there was a TV series, which I started writing a pilot episode, our three characters, put it out there. Our three characters carry the whole world. I mean, it opens on us at a fire every episode. That's the way I saw it in my head. And we're having these great country philosophical conversations,
Right.
And that's just how I pictured the whole thing going, because your two characters, and if I've got a moment, I want to tell this story.
Please.
Me and Scott were going to film a movie in Mississippi. And I kind of pitched this whole skunk ape thing to him. And he said, I did some videos on, the skunk ape, me and David. And I said, who's David? But
you're about to find out.
What a gem of a find that was.
Yeah. And and I said, well, what if we merged? Because Nick was going to be, I kind of pictured him as this explorer with a bunch of bumbling people behind him, just stumbling on the skunk ape. And basically he had invited them in, kind of lonely out in the swamp, wanted somebody to talk to, But then that wasn't working out because Nick was in Ohio. So when you said that, I said, wait a minute, what if we take your two characters and we don't change a thing? We just merge these two worlds, and then we've got our skunk ape hunters, our Bigfoot hunters. And that worked out so freaking perfect. It was those
practically wrote itself.
Those scenes, people stick around for that out of the 14-minute video. If they click away, they didn't click away before they saw your scenes, and because they're freaking genius, man.
So
it's well written.
Great scenes.
I mean, it's very well written. You play your part freaking perfectly. I mean, I'm just a goof anyway, so with Scott,
we got some beautiful improv from you, man. Just beautiful stuff without even being told you're doing this stuff that I'm thinking. I was like, I hope he kind of does this, and you were doing it, and it was, man, it was
home run
on, absolutely.
Yeah, well, it was a lot of fun doing it, and it was just it's neat to think of Fnur, the skunk ape.
No,
that way.
Fnur.
Oh. Okay, I don't get it right in the movie, and I don't get it right now.
Yeah.
Skeeter gets close,
but I know if you've seen it.
Yeah, I don't think Fnur's ever said it the same way twice.
No.
Just keep you on your toes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's it. That's it.
But we were originally going to film this thing, and it was us three, and then it got COVID hit. I mean, literally the day we were going to film, COVID hit the day before, and it was a U.S. lockdown.
It hit that weekend.
Yeah,
we were going to film Friday, and they went, "No, you're not."
Yeah,
Country shut down.
It was, and so then we had time, and I said, "Well, wait a minute. If we're going to put this dude on film, we need a lot more creatures. We got to bring more creatures in to make this. If we're gonna spend the time to do a short, why not add all these creatures?" So we did. We brought in, Bigfoot and Sasquatch and the Yeti and the abominable snow woman and the Song Ting, which was made up.
Song Ting cracks me up.
Marianne is wonderful.
Marianne kills. And in the pilot episode of the series, she slays, man. It starts on her. Well, kind of. She's early, so.
That's funny.
Well, let me mention that you had expanded the cast, and you started to bring in, as you said, the Song King, the abominable snowman, the Yeti, or snow woman, I should say. And that's one of the things that we discussed in the first part of this episode is that throughout the world, all these areas have their own version of the Bigfoot. They have their own story about it. And I found it very cool that in your movie, the Skunk Ape has a book. And as we're turning the pages, it's showing all the different ones. And I thought that was really cool. So did you...
creature.
What's that?
Same creature.
Yeah.
But yes.
Different color.
Different color.
Well, how much research did you guys put into this? I mean, it seems like you at least went out and read a little bit about the character or the creatures, the cryptozoology. Is that something you've always been interested in, or was it just good for the joke, or where did that come from?
All the above, David. And here's a true story. Right after I retired, I went back to Greenwood, and I went to met a friend, and he was telling about teaching a class. He was a school teacher, and he said, listen, he said, anything's possible. And they said, what about Bigfoot? And he said, let's Google it. Right. I Googled Bigfoot, and there was a hit that came up, a very close, you could, at the time, you could kind of pin these stories. It was kind of neat because it would take you to where they were at. Well, it was right down from our farm, like literally a quarter of a mile from our farm was the sighting.
Wow.
And it's on this spring-fed creek we have forms another one, and it makes the Chipola River, which goes through the Florida State Caverns Park and goes all the way to the Dead Lakes and to the Gulf of Mexico. So our farm is literally connected to the Gulf of Mexico, And so to have this story, and it tells a story about these three guys out on the creek. And when they looked up, they smelled him first, and then they saw him. And he was a big boy, standing up on the bank.
Yeah.
And so he said, I've got to tell you this story because it happened right there at your farm. And I really think that was the genesis of this whole thing, was him telling me that story and then me having years to sit on it and play with it. And I said, well, why don't we tell a Skunk Ape story that came from our land? That was literally, he was right there. We can point to the spot. And I just thought it would make it better. But yeah, the research, man, the rabbit holes that we went down, researching these characters. I mean, we went all over the world. And when we created the name Song Ting, I was kind of hoping to add it into canon somehow, this Bigfoot canon, because there's certain rules that you don't break when you're doing research and you're writing about it, because people are very serious about this. And there's some great Facebook pages and stuff like that. It was a great rabbit hole to go down. And that's why at the very end, we had to show Daniel, because we had to say the word Virginia woodbooger. But you're right. I mean, Alabama has their own, and Georgia. Everybody's got their own thing, and it's
so
really
many
neat.
Possibilities.
Yeah, there is. And in all likelihood, we're talking about at least the same species, or just, variety of it. For that. Now, originally we were going to film in Greenwood. Am I correct in that? Yeah.
Yep. And it would have been, like I say, literally a quarter mile through the swamp to where this took place, so I thought that was cool.
So with that said, it's on your property. Of the creature, or the at least the sighting of the creature. In doing the short, even as funny as it is, did either of you ever question, or do either of you question the reality or the possibility of a creature like the skunk ape or a Bigfoot or something along that line in the cryptozoology? Is it something you've always kind of been interested in, or was it something that you just thought, this would be cute, this would be fun?
But both again.
I'm fascinated by all things. We have several conversations about aliens and those creatures, and there are so many. There's a lot out there, and we are completely open to all the things. But that creature right there, the fact that there are so many, just Googling
Oh yeah.
Mm.
You start seeing all those different. I was like, why does everybody have this story? So first of all, from a filmmaking perspective and storytelling perspective, everybody's got that kind of creature, so it kind of can translate to anyone knows of it. It's just the Florida version of it, and we made him a beautiful, wonderful, fantastic redneck, which is the way it should be. And that was another fun thing too with our designers, our costume designers, Heidi.
They did phenomenal work.
So good.
Like we had such cool conversations as they created these. Like we talked about the colors and where they lived and what that would look like, and that was like their different face shapes. And this one would have eyebrows and this one wouldn't. Like it was the coolest conversations as you just play with how these creatures would look, because there are so many different types, so why not make them individual, which I thought was the coolest idea. Technically they're all the same, but are they
did a lot
species?
Looked at ancient culture pictures from 500 to 2,000 years ago, and just how ornate, whether it's Africa or Europe or Asia, it doesn't matter, man. This costuming was just freaking beautiful.
Heidi and Brittany. So sorry, we started talking about the costumes. Brittany was come on, man. It was just awesome that they were like, we got it. They just took notes and they created these. And we just looked at everything and went, yes, absolutely, yes, perfect. Like they just absolutely were the most incredible team of.
And it probably made your job so much easier.
So this is what I'm telling you. I was so spoiled because I had the genius people working on every aspect of the thing.
Nice.
Except me. So thank you guys for
it. We all start somewhere. I mean, and you had the right people around you to do it.
I at least have learned that over my years of working with, community theaters and all the people that I get a chance to work with. At least I surrounded myself with the right people. Right. I learned that lesson. That lot of lessons. Thank you, Kevin, that I learned as far as actual practical.
The entire process was, the way it unfolded was the craziest thing, man, because I made a phone call to Nicole Dixon and she said, I know a girl. And all of a sudden, Brittany and Heidi are a part of it. One's doing all these prosthetics and these wigs and these eyebrows and these mutton chops and everything you saw. Yeah. And the other designed all the costumes except mine. I came up with that a year earlier. I said, the dude's got to be in a bathrobe. That's what he does,
But the manatee, that's Heidi. Heidi got us the manatee that's on his shirt.
Yeah,
the cutest
awesome.
Little manatee.
Yes.
The hero of the story. See, watch the video.
It was a custom-made tie-dye too, that my cousin did, and it was tie-dyed to look like the swamp, the colors of the swamp.
It worked. It worked so well on him. It's definitely. What made you choose to go with comedy versus a more, because you're dealing with a big supernatural like creature that you could have easily went to horror or serious. But what made you as filmmakers choose comedy?
Really funny guy. And I like things to be really funny too. Comedy as an actor is one of my favorites. But it was just, he's got a really crazy sense of humor, and it was just, we would sit out on the back porch and to talk about this and just laugh. And when he started coming up with these creatures, like I'm gonna, a little spoiler, if all the creatures have their own sound, because that was something we talked about. What would their names be? What if their name sound their mothers make when they're born? That could be literally anything. It depends on, like, we sat on the back porch just coming up with it. You couldn't help but laugh when we would talk about it. So it just kind of, the natural progression, it was just funny.
It's strange though. I didn't mean for it to be a PSA for Save the Manatee or anything like that, it turned into, and it really turned into except for the little sign I made for Frank, it's kind of a G-rated. I think it's G-rated.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, but I like G-rated shows because there's so much on the other side. and I would like to make a horror film, but the Skunk Ape, I wanted him to show this us, the humanity of us here in Northwest Florida, and say, well, there's that dude represents what kind of Northwest Florida is,
Big fan.
Yeah.
Big fan.
And so comedy, but even posting it on Bigfoot sites was I almost was apologetic when I would post it, because these people were expecting to see something serious.
Oh yeah, they're very
and they
serious.
could get offended. And so I would say our 14-minute comedic short,
Right.
And that's how I would kind of introduce it, so they wouldn't click on it and think I'm fixing to see a Bigfoot, and then be like, what?
Well, you are going to meet a Skunk Ape.
How was that received, Shannon? How was you posting that on Bigfoot sites? Were you welcomed?
I think I was tolerated.
Okay,
I think
I'm just curious how the response was.
Figuring it out,
I'm serious because of like I say, there's a certain canon, there's a certain set of beliefs associated with believing in a Bigfoot, and people, they get, sites, people get real offended if there's any mocking or anything like that. So yeah, no, I was tolerated. We were tolerated.
Like Frank.
Did I say we were? You too? No,
well, yeah, we were.
No. And I would say the reason there was zero offensive comments that I ever received about it whatsoever. Either no comments or haha, type things.
Right.
But people commented on Donnie Jones and Skeeter. They loved that.
Oh shit! Really?
Set the vibe. You set the vibe for the film. When y'all come through the woods,
you're the audience.
That's it.
You're the audience. Man. You get to meet these creatures through you guys. So
yeah,
very
that's
important.
True. Yeah.
Very important.
Yeah.
Well,
How many
I will
guys-
say,
My favorite part.
Hilarious.
How many guys in the Panhandle do we all know that are like Donnie Jones and Skeeter? I know.
Like I would.
All of us.
I'm one of them.
All of us.
Yeah, I'm one of them.
Yeah.
See,
Every damn one of us is like
I
Donnie Jones Skeeter.
I could make Skeeter Donnie Jones my ringtone, and I think I should. It is my favorite. When you turn and yell that, and it's just like an echo. It is. I giggle every time, and I've watched this thing. I don't know how many times. I don't know how many times. I think way a lot.
I think we've
and I still laugh. I just think it's.
And I stole that from you guys. That whole vibe is yours, because
that was hilarious when we watched that short with the treat where you go in and the original after
the Bigfoot
faces.
Yes.
I wanted them to be a lot closer. I wanted us to be, but I love the way it turned out way better.
Right.
But I pictured Donnie Jones coming in, or Skeeter coming in, and then Donnie Jones,
this is where he
and
complains
then the
about my
Skunk
shot
Ape.
choices.
No. This was just what I originally pictured. And then when Donnie Jones runs, he is gone. I mean, like a flash. You're like, was there someone really there? And it worked out so perfect, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the funniest scene to me by far.
That time just playing with you guys was awesome. I personally, I thoroughly enjoyed the heck out of it. I had a good time. I enjoyed everybody's company. And I look back at it and I think, wow, it turned out really, really well. You guys, you directed, you wrote it, you edited it, and it turned out really well. And then we went to the one show, the Shorts Film Festival, and you guys won.
Yeah.
That was great. That was a good
fun.
feeling that day. For personal reasons that Scott knows about, and we'll tell you about all after the
Skeeter likes to see himself on the screen.
a little bit, but that's the other reason. We'll just talk about pirates.
Oh yeah, so it was a lot of fun, and I'm glad that you guys are receiving some recognition. Actually, all of us from it. But I know that was a big undertaking to do, and I like the comedic approach, and it's one of the things David and I make fun of a lot of things, and I just want people to know we're laughing with it and not anybody, because I believe a lot of things are possible. And man, the universe is a funny place, and if you can't laugh at it, I mean, it's
I think that, like with skunk apes and with Bigfoot and Sasquatch and the Loch Ness Monster and alien abductions, if you can't find a humorous side of it, my God, it could burn you out. It could burn your soul out if you take it all way too serious. And I'm not saying that it's not serious, but I think if you just delve on just the serious aspect of something, I think you could get burned out on it. I think it could go crazy.
There's that old adage. It's funny because it's true.
Yeah, exactly. You nailed it.
You'd always find the funny if it's true, which I do, man. We believe in all the things. Like, I don't think people just make stuff up for camera attention. Like, if you say you see something, I believe you. If you say, I woke up and there were lights all around these big headed, I believe you. Like, what is the whole point of? So no, we are 100% believe it, but it's fun. It's fun to poke fun at everything, but in always from an approach of, we just love it so much. We just want to laugh with it.
Right.
And we're the same way on it. That's what I love about the Skunk Ape thing. Because as Shannon, you had said, people are very, very serious about this, and but we're serious too.
We didn't do it to offend. No. Yeah, and it was made kind of in the vein of, and you're talking, you laugh with people.
Yeah.
That's very Andy Griffith's show. That's very, a lot of the famous TV shows, that's kind of what they do. They go back to their hometown and they have a good time, but they're not being cruel or bullies. We're laughing because this is us, man. It's real.
Yeah.
I love your poster. You could spin around and say, that's what Shannon's thinking. And that's what Shannon's thinking. Do I believe there's a possibility that there are aliens here now? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, man. Yeah.
We don't know everything.
If you can believe in the concept of heaven and hell, then there's everything in between.
Yep.
Which is the entire existence of everything, so
until we prove it, we're just going to continue to make stuff about it. Yeah. It's fascinating.
And have fun.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we're doing. the exact same thing. So, David, do you have any other questions for?
I think we covered all the questions, Scott, about the belief, the short, research, and whether you believe in the reality. And you covered every one of those questions that I had at length, and I thank you very much for it. It's absolutely fantastic.
I do want to throw in one thing.
Please.
Because you did mention editing, and I always have to do this. Brandon Perdue, bless his sweet, wonderful heart, tackled the editing program, and he is the reason we have an edited version of anything.
Oh wow!
To be able to have these conversations, and he learned it on the, and it was just, so we definitely cannot take credit for that, because God bless every editor ever, anywhere.
Right?
How y'all do that? But he was incredible, and we are so thankful for him picking it up and finishing it, because we did all that hard work and it was really hard to kind of get to that point, and he picked it up and literally just heist him in.
He did a great job. He really did.
And in the future,
and our music,
I'm absolutely open to doing a trio thing, because that could be a fun shoot where it is just us.
Still have ideas. I've
got stuff written out and all kind of stuff, man.
It would be funny.
Well, let's definitely do it. So you heard it here first that there is more Skunk Ape on the way. For sure.
I've got everything. We've got everything, so we can do it.
Is there anything you two would like to plug, promote? Anything you want to send a shout out to our listeners that we have none yet?
Right. Whenever we get
for all you guys checking out the archive.
Yes.
That's how long this show is. You see what I did there? We have I have some murder mystery things coming up in local Pensacola, which you'll see all around for Rocky Horror. But outside of that, like we're working on some writing things. Like I've always wanted to write another comedy series different. So I've got an idea that I'm just messing around with and may shoot and throw up on YouTube as well, just for funsies. And I have a movie that I'm still working on.
Very good.
That's from the play that I but that's pretty much it. I'm a work in progress, so I don't really have anything while having things.
Understood completely.
Yeah.
Shannon, anything with you?
There's a lot going on. I mean, Sacred Heart crew filmed something, local TV shows, and Front Office with Joe Cross. He filmed 10 episodes of a television series.
He's given me a lot of opportunity to direct since then too. So Joe Cross,
very good. Very good.
Nice. That's cool.
I look forward to seeing that.
Alicia Marie is moving along with zombies, and it's coming close. There's some special effects stuff going on, but it's very close. Nick Smith, and they've been holding auditions for a couple of films, maybe to shoot after the first of next year. And there's still plenty of room for more auditions and roles, and I think all that good stuff.
So much fun.
There's a lot going on locally.
Very cool.
So
that's very cool.
Awesome. Well, guys, I want to thank you again for jumping in on our very first episode. And
I'm so honored.
Yeah, we are honored, and definitely look forward to seeing more from both of y'all. And thanks again for coming on.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much, guys.
Hey, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that interview as much as we enjoyed talking to our friends about Skunk Ape making the film and beliefs in the actual Skunk Ape himself or herself, or whichever way they come. I'd like to thank everybody for joining Dave and I on our first step in this curiosity adventure of ours. Thanks for joining us. Drop us a line. Let us know if you like our show, hate our show, whatever. Hit subscribe, hit like, thumbs up, thumbs down. Give us something. Let us know you're watching. Got anything you want us to talk about, or you're curious about, or you have a legend that you're passionate about? Hit us up. Make sure you leave us a review on the podcast, on YouTube, wherever you found us.
Now on Rumble. We're going to be on Rumble too.
We will be everywhere we can. If you have a special platform you want to find us on, just let us know. Thanks again. Coming back here shortly, our next episode will be Dave and I discuss Eric von Daniken's Chariot of the Gods and what the whole ancient astronaut theory means to us. So be sure and join us. Thanks again.
Enjoy, folks.